They put my house up for sale without asking, without telling me, without owning it. I'm at a construction site when my neighbor Dolores texts me a photo that makes my blood freeze. Strangers in business suits measuring my grandfather's cabin deck while a realtor in designer heels stands in my driveway, pointing at the property like she's already counting her commission. HOA President Veronica Ashworth's smug voicemail plays, just exploring community improvement options, Garrett. You understand? No, Veronica. I don't understand how you think you can sell what isn't yours. My name's Garrett and that cabin they're trying to steal has been in my family for 43 years. My grandfather Fletcher bought those 2 acres in 1981 with his disability check from the Korean War. He built every inch with his own weathered hands. This is our forever home, Garrett, he'd tell me every summer. Nobody can take what you build with your own sweat. Fletcher died 3 years ago, left me the cabin and every memory soaked into those hand-hewn beams. It's where my 16-year-old daughter Mackenzie escapes when her mom and I aren't getting along. It's where I go every weekend to remember what quiet sounds like. Enter Veronica Ashworth, HOA president and professional pain in everyone's ass. She moved here from California 2 years ago, drives a white BMW, and thinks our community needs improvement. Translation: she wants to price out anyone who doesn't drive a luxury car. Her first shot came 6 months ago, a citation for my grandfather's workshop being a non-conforming rustic structure. She demanded $15,000 in compliance fees or complete reconstruction. When I told her what she could do with her compliance fees, she escalated to today's real estate circus. The realtor touring my property? Veronica's college sorority sister. The marketing materials described my family's sanctuary as a prime development opportunity with teardown potential. These vultures were discussing demolishing my grandfather's workshop to build a yoga studio. Here's what makes my jaw clench. They have zero legal standing. This is pure intimidation designed to pressure me into selling cheap so Veronica can flip it to developers. Veronica's next move came 1 week later. A formal letter on fake legal letterhead screaming, "Notice of Abandoned Property Statute Violation." She was threatening daily $500 fines unless I moved there full-time or surrendered the deed for community benefit. But here's what Veronica didn't know about construction workers. We solve problems for a living. I spent my lunch break at the county clerk's office. The clerk, Beverly, pulled out deed records going back decades. Your grandfather was smart, Beverly said, tracing the original survey lines. Look at this. My heart started pounding as she showed me Fletcher's 1981 survey. Our property line extended 50 feet further north than anyone realized. That fancy HOA community mailbox cluster Veronica was so proud of. Sitting smack in the middle of my grandfather's land. Even better, the deed included a grandfathered clause. Property rights in perpetuity with all municipal exemptions maintained. In lawyer speak, this land belongs to the Fletcher family forever, and no HOA can change that. The real bombshell came from my neighbor Dolores that evening. That Ashworth woman offered me $500, Dolores whispered. Wanted me to take pictures of your violations, anything she could use to build a case. She handed me a handwritten list. The Morrison family forced to sell after harassment. The Patterson cottage under attack for too many garden gnomes. The Hendricks facing daily fines for parking their work truck in their own driveway. She's not just coming after you, Garrett. She wants to clear out anyone who doesn't drive a BMW. Then Dolores dropped the real bomb. I've been documenting everything. Photos, recordings, copies of her harassment letters. I was a high school principal for 30 years. I know a bully when I see one. Dolores had done research. Veronica Ashworth's California law license had been suspended for mishandling client trust accounts. Her perfect suburban lifestyle was built on maxed-out credit cards and a mortgage she was 3 months behind on. That night, I installed security cameras at every corner of my property and called Tom Martinez, a local attorney who specialized in property rights and had a particular hatred for HOA bullies. Bring me everything, he said. This woman just picked a fight with the wrong family. 2 weeks later, Veronica brought reinforcements. I was replacing deck boards when a county truck pulled into my driveway. Out stepped Harold Wessler, code enforcement officer, followed by Veronica in her power suit. We've received complaints about unpermitted structures, Harold began. That workshop appears to violate current building codes. What kind of remediation? I asked. Veronica stepped forward. $25,000 in permits and code compliance updates or demolition within 30 days. Instead of exploding, I pulled out my phone and started recording. Harold, can you show me exactly which codes this 40-year-old building violates? Harold shifted uncomfortably. Well, there's no permit on file. Because the county lost records during the computer transition. But I bet the original contractor still has copies. Jimmy Kowalski, now 74 and retired, still had his project files from 1983, including the original building permit and inspection reports. But the real eye-opener came when Harold called me that evening. Those violations I cited today are questionable at best. Mrs. Ashworth has been pressuring me to find problems with certain properties. The next morning brought my favorite surprise. Security camera footage of Veronica's midnight gardening project. At 12:47 a.m., clear as daylight on infrared video, Veronica crept onto my property carrying decorative flower pots. I watched her place them along what she thought was the property line, then measure their positions. Her plan was transparent. Plant unauthorized decorations on my land, photograph them as evidence of property line encroachment, then use that for another harassment campaign. But my grandfather's survey put those flower pots 15 feet inside my boundaries. Veronica wasn't just trespassing. She was planting false evidence. I forwarded the video to Tom Martinez, who nearly choked laughing. She's now committed criminal trespass, attempted fraud, and conspiracy to file false reports. This woman is building our case for us. Harold officially withdrew the violation notice that Friday. 3 days later, Veronica went nuclear. A process server knocked on my door at 6:30 a.m. with a lawsuit claiming my property devalued the entire neighborhood by $2 million. She was seeking a restraining order to prevent me from accessing my own land. While I gathered documents, my buddy Rick was doing reconnaissance. Your HOA queen is in serious financial trouble, Rick reported. She owes $180,000 in credit card debt, plus her mortgage is in default. Rick's cousin had uncovered something even more interesting. A development company called Lakeshore Properties had been quietly buying distressed properties around the lake. Lakeshore specializes in community optimization. They partner with HOAs to harass long-time residents, then buy properties cheap when people can't afford legal fights. That evening, Tom called with news that made me nearly choke. I've been researching your HOA's incorporation status, and we've got a problem. A big problem for them. The Willowbrook Homeowners Association was never properly incorporated under state law. The original filing was rejected for incomplete paperwork. Veronica never corrected the deficiencies. Every citation she's issued, every fine she's collected, all legally meaningless, Tom explained. An unincorporated HOA has no more authority than a book club. 47 families had been paying illegal fees averaging $3,200 each. Veronica had collected nearly $500,000 over 3 years with no legal right to do so. But Tom found records showing she'd used the HOA credit card for personal expenses. Spa treatments, vacation rentals, car payments. This isn't just civil fraud, Tom said. We're talking criminal charges. Wire fraud, racketeering, embezzlement. The breakthrough came when Tom's paralegal finished the financial investigation. Your HOA collected $430,000 from residents over 3 years. Only $180,000 remains. $250,000 is missing. Where did it go? Veronica's personal accounts showed suspicious deposits matching HOA withdrawal dates. Wire transfers, cashier's checks, direct deposits disguised as consulting fees. Lakeshore paid Veronica $50,000 last month as a community liaison fee. 2 days after she ramped up enforcement against you and 3 other lakefront owners. Lakeshore specialized in community optimization, partnering with corrupt HOA boards to systematically harass long-time residents until they sold cheap. They'd done this in 3 other counties. Same pattern every time. This wasn't about my cabin anymore. This was about protecting an entire community from organized crime disguised as civic authority. Veronica's desperation reached new heights when she realized her fraud was unraveling. Monday morning brought an emergency notice claiming the HOA was being voluntarily dissolved. Translation: grab whatever money remained and disappear. But Tom had anticipated this. By noon, we had an emergency court order freezing all HOA accounts. That's when Veronica shifted to character assassination. Tuesday evening, I found photocopied flyers on every windshield claiming I was mentally unstable with a history of violent threats. But Veronica's smear campaign backfired when she tried bribing witnesses. Dolores knocked on my door Wednesday morning. She offered me $3,000, Dolores whispered. Wanted me to sign a statement saying you'd been harassing elderly residents. The bribery attempt was captured on Dolores's phone recorder. Meanwhile, security cameras documented Veronica's increasingly unhinged behavior. She drove past my cabin 17 times on Thursday alone. At 2:47 a.m. Friday morning, she finally snapped. I woke to breaking glass and spray paint fumes. The infrared cameras captured everything in crystal clear detail. Veronica, dressed in dark clothing, spray-painted, foreclosed, in huge red letters across my grandfather's workshop. She'd also smashed 2 windows and scattered drug paraphernalia around the property entrance. Her plan was transparent. Create evidence of drug activity, call in an anonymous tip to trigger a police raid, then claim the dangerous neighbor narrative was justified. But every second of her vandalism spree was recorded from 3 angles, including clear facial recognition shots. I called 911 immediately. Sheriff Deputy Mike Harrison arrived within minutes. This woman just graduated from fraud to breaking and entering, Deputy Harrison said, reviewing the footage while Veronica sat handcuffed in his patrol car. Plus vandalism, evidence planting, and filing false police reports. By sunrise, news of Veronica's arrest was spreading through the community. The local paper ran a front-page story, HOA president arrested for harassment campaign. But even facing multiple felony charges, Veronica wasn't finished. Within 12 hours, she'd posted bail and hired Blackstone Crisis Management, a reputation laundering outfit. Their counterattack came swift and vicious. Anonymous robocalls claiming I was the real criminal. Fake social media accounts spreading lies. My business Yelp page flooded with 1-star reviews. But Veronica's crisis team made a fatal error. They went after my daughter. Mackenzie came home in tears with a letter from the principal requesting a meeting about concerning reports regarding home environment. Someone had called claiming I was psychologically unstable and keeping dangerous chemicals around a minor. Complete fabrications designed to trigger a Child Protective Services investigation. Going after my 16-year-old daughter crossed every line that mattered. Our community coalition shifted into full war mode. The CPS investigation lasted exactly 2 hours before being closed as maliciously fraudulent. But the real turning point came when Tom's forensic accountant discovered Veronica's offshore banking scheme. Community Solutions LLC hiding $380,000 in a Caribbean shell company. Nearly all the money stolen from residents over 3 years. The IRS had been monitoring suspicious banking activity. Veronica wasn't just facing state fraud charges. She was looking at federal tax evasion, money laundering, and racketeering charges with mandatory minimum prison sentences. Veronica made one final desperate play Friday evening, calling Tom directly to offer returning half the stolen money in exchange for reduced charges and a sealed plea agreement. What did you tell her? I asked. That she's going to face every charge, return every dollar, and do it all in front of the entire community she victimized, Tom replied. Saturday morning dawned crisp and clear. By 10:30, the community center parking lot looked like a county fair. Every seat was filled with standing room only. Local and state TV crews positioned themselves for optimal angles. District Attorney Sarah Butler sat at the head table alongside Sheriff Deputy Harrison and FBI Agent Rebecca Torres. Tom Martinez stood to address the packed room. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here today because your HOA president has been systematically defrauding this community for over 3 years. The first slide showed Veronica's banking records. $430,000 collected from residents, with only $180,000 remaining. Gasps echoed through the room. Where did the missing money go? Tom continued. Veronica Ashworth's personal accounts, credit card payments, spa treatments, vacation rentals, and a $50,000 payment from Lakeshore Properties. But the real bombshell came when Tom displayed the security footage. This is your HOA president at 2:47 a.m. last Friday, spray painting, foreclosed, on a resident's property and planting drug paraphernalia to frame an innocent family. The room erupted. Shouts filled the air while Veronica sat frozen, watching her midnight crime spree broadcast to the entire community. One by one, victims stood to share their stories. Elderly Ed Kowalski, this woman made me mortgage my home to pay her fake fines. 32 years I lived here without trouble. 47 families. Over $400,000 stolen. 3 years of systematic abuse disguised as civic duty. DA Butler stood to address the community directly. We are filing 23 felony charges against Veronica Ashworth, including grand theft, money laundering, racketeering, fraud, and conspiracy. The formal announcement drew thunderous applause. FBI Agent Torres added, Mrs. Ashworth faces additional federal charges that carry mandatory minimum sentences of 5 to 10 years. Roy Patterson, my grandfather's old Army buddy, stood with a folded American flag. Fletcher's grandson didn't just fight for his family's property. He fought for every family in this room. That's what real Americans do. He handed me the flag that had flown over the state capitol. Your grandfather would be proud, son. You didn't just defend his land. You defended his values. The standing ovation lasted 10 minutes. Justice had finally come to Willowbrook. 6 months later, Veronica Ashworth was sentenced to 5 years in prison and ordered to pay $2.8 million in restitution. All stolen funds were recovered. Every resident received full refunds plus 18% interest. Our Veterans Day Memorial Garden dedication drew over 500 attendees, including the governor. The central monument displayed Fletcher's words, "This is our forever home. Nobody can take what you build with your own sweat." Standing there watching my daughter place flowers at Grandpa's memorial stone, I experienced something I'd almost forgotten during months of legal battles. Pure peace. The community impact spread far beyond our neighborhood. Our case became the template for fighting HOA fraud statewide. The Willowbrook model is now taught in law schools as effective grassroots legal resistance. Mackenzie's college essay about fighting corruption earned her 12 acceptance letters and merit scholarships totaling $84,000. Last month, Lakeshore Properties was indicted on federal racketeering charges for systematic community fraud across 4 states. Our little battle had helped expose a nationwide criminal enterprise. This morning's letter came from a Tennessee family facing similar harassment. After sharing everything we'd learned, they felt ready to fight back. Helping others gives meaning to everything we endured. Fletcher's grandson didn't just defend his grandfather's land. He helped protect families nationwide from predatory abuse. Ordinary people can create extraordinary change when they refuse to stay silent. Your turn to share. Drop your HOA horror story in the comments below. Have you checked your association's incorporation status lately? Your experience could help another family fight back. Hit that subscribe button for more HOA stories. We're building a community of people who refuse to let corrupt boards steal their homes and dreams. Because sometimes the best way to honor the past is to fight for the future. Remember, corruption only wins when good people stay quiet. Your voice matters more than you think.